Hi, everybody. Summary of week 3. Sorry it's taking me so long to get this done. It's amazing how not wanting to record influences how quickly I do these. Um, anyhow, that's a whole other topic. So I wanted to comment on week 3. First of all, before I get started, I'm seeing some of the results come in from I think I called it taking your pulse or something like that, kind of a mid-course eval to see how you're all doing. Um, all I can tell is that you guys are really hitting it out of the park. I'm like so impressed with keeping up. I'm getting very few people requesting extensions. I'm noticing a few are not participating as greatly in the discussions and such, which kind of suggests to me that it might be a little heavy. But in some of your comments, you're really commenting about how the course is quite heavy, and I want to let you know that I do get that, and it's very intense. It's intense on my end too. Um, so I do appreciate that. I can tell you, week 4, I just started grading that. I think that's like the high point of the course as far as the amount of workload, and now it just starts to kind of taper off. In fact, I think it's week 6, we just have one chapter, and week 5 is 2, week 6 is 1, week 7 is 2, I believe. So it does go down after this week. So sorry about that. So from what I can tell, I think you're getting a lot out of it though. So, I know it's intense. I just tell me where to quit. Where do I cut? Because I wanted to add more. So I don't really know exactly where to cut. And I've talked to a few even professional instructor designer people. And like none of their solutions sound appealing to me. So anyhow, any feedback that you can provide is greatly appreciated. So back to week 3, which is tough because I've already started grading week 4, so I'm already kind of confused. But anyhow, so week 3, I believe, was the start of the show and tells, and I didn't know what to call them, so I just called them show and tells because I don't really mean for you to dive super deep into these theories, because again, the goal is not to say, well, I'm a path goal leader, or I'm a leader member exchange theory believer. I don't know anybody who does that, but the goal is more to just kind of expose you to some of the thought that's been out there the last 50, 75 years, and to take from it what is meaningful to you and what matches or fits your style. As you have been exposed to this, I think some of you have had some light bulbs go off to kind of open your minds as to what is all involved in the study of leadership. So anyhow, I've been really impressed with the examples and hope that you've had fun doing that. I've enjoyed seeing the creativity of applying it to home and work and relationships in and outside of work. Again, I think leadership is not just that big L, but if you're a leader in one environment, you're often finding yourself in leadership roles in lots of environments. And again, I mean, this is how I learn. I learn as I am exposed to theories. I sit and kind of try to analyze good and bad leaders that I've had in my life and see if this theory could be predictive of successful leadership. So anyhow, I hope that it's helped you and that it's either challenged your current thoughts or maybe kind of served to validate or cement something that you believe to be true, or gave you a term for something that you didn't know had a term for. So I think that's kind of cool. So anyhow, so nice work with the show and tells. For those of you who have contacted me, not so thrilled with your scores. Again, It just depends on the level of depth that you're going into your descriptions. And many of you are telling me that you're putting some significant time into writing those, and I can tell. I would say on average of the show and tells, and again, these are discussion board posts, so I don't really see the page numbers, but I'm guessing that's about a full page to a page and a half, single space. A lot of you are writing, and again, that gives me a lot to go on, to really use that rubric to award points. So if your posts are less, to me, I read it and it comes across as a bit rushed and a little less developed. So, as I fill out the rubric, it's just not as clear. So in many cases, you're losing points for that particular reason. Also, obviously, if you don't participate in the discussion board, you're going to lose points. So anyhow, and again, I'm not counting how many. Some of you are posting 9 times, but you're saying 6 words. I look at that as the same as a good solid 2 comments, but more fully developed. So again, I don't sit there and say, oh, 9. Oh my gosh, you're participating so high. I don't really look at that. So to me, that's a little too rote. So, it's like, I'm not the check the box kind of person. So anywho, so with regards to the discussion on motivation, about half of you picked Maslow's theory of motivation, which, the little pyramid. So, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan of. It explains so much when it comes to basic theories on motivation. It's a little limited, but if you don't have the foundational knowledge, then you're like really behind the 8 ball. So I think Maslow is a good place to start. I was a little disappointed that that more of you didn't go out and look at different theories, but then again, I know that this course is overwhelming some of you. So I think next time I'll probably just assign a few so that we get a little bit more variety in looking at current theories around motivation. So I will tell you, and I'm assuming that you probably hear this too, but anytime I'm around a group of managers, I could be around them for like 10 minutes, and there's usually some conversation about how do I motivate Bob, or how do I motivate Betty? And I'm telling you, it honestly makes me want to just scream, because it's similar to conversations I have with my husband about salespeople. He just cannot stand salespeople. Like the time we had to go buy a car, actually he sent me to go buy a car by myself. So, because he just cannot stand salespeople. And I know it's because he thinks that these salespeople are going to make him do something that he doesn't want to do. Which anybody who's been in a sales position, myself included, I wish I had that kind of control, but you don't. So similarly, even as a manager or leader, I can't make Bob or I can't make Betty do squat. So many people, I see it here, I see it every place I've worked, will sit at their desk faithfully from 8 to 5 and with their computer screens facing some other direction and be playing games on their computer. So the supervisor walks by and says, oh, look, Bob's working. Bob's not working, Bob's playing computer games. Or, Bob might be working on a report, but is really kind of, putting half of his effort into it, or is meeting just the basic requirements. So you cannot make somebody do anything. So anyhow, I think it is critical, to understand that motivation is not control. You cannot control human beings, with the exception of maybe, slave labor or something like that. But in most of the workplace environments that we work in, control is not the goal. The goal is to create a job so that there's very clear expectations and very clear measures as to whether Bob or Betty are meeting expectations. And then my job as the manager is to manage the measures, not measure how Bob and Betty are doing the job. So there should be very clear outcomes as to what is good performance, what is a quality performance, what is the expectation, and then I manage those measures. We give access to those measures to Bob and Betty, and then Bob and Betty learn how to manage their own time and their own outcomes. So I'm not into playing the game. I don't do this with my kids either. It's just like, this is my expectation. You have your room cleaned. You do not leave the house until your room is clean. They know what the expectation is, how I described clean room. My daughter thinks it means just making her bed, but if you open her closet, watch out because it could hurt you. So she knows that means all your clothes hung up, all the dirty clothes in the laundry, bed cleaned up, all food and drink items downstairs, dust and vacuum. So she knows what that means. And if she asks me if she can go someplace, I'm like, is your room cleaned up? Yes, it is. No, it's not. I'll go up and check on it. If it's not cleaned up, you're not going anywhere. So I'm not going to sit there and watch her clean her room. She knows what the outcome is. So anyhow, motivation is just a really, obviously, it's kind of a touchy subject with me. Because to me, it just seems like a shortcut. It's like you need to understand what the expectation is for each position, be extremely clear on what needs to be done. Have measures out there so it's less about the person and more about the performance. And then how they want to do the work, as long as it's legal and it's going to net the outcomes and not break any rules, I don't care how you do it. If you want to, do it with your feet up on your desk, I just really don't care. It's like, just do the work. So, anyhow, so that was I thought it was a good discussion board. I'll probably work on that one again for next time around. So, but overall, I thought it was a fine job. So the second, sorry, somebody's calling me. So the second, well, not the second, but discussion question 11 was managing conflict. And I provide you the two videos. First of all, I just have to say I was massively impressed with the work that you put into these. I loved the perspective that a lot of you that you picked up on from these two videos, that conflict shouldn't be avoided. In fact, it should almost be encouraged. However, it is the tendency of most managers and leaders to want to surround themselves with people who are like them because they're fun to work with, because there's no conflict. So if you think the same and have the same process of thinking, then you're likely to arrive at the same thing. It takes less work. There's probably more fun to it. And actually, there's quite a few studies I've read about this, but that the real innovative stuff that we can achieve in teams and groups and departments are when we have the ability to pull people with different perspectives and different backgrounds together and really kind of really work to balance the development of new things. So what's going to happen with that is that there is going to be conflict, though. So you have to become a lot more comfortable with conflict. And I'll be the first to admit, I hate conflict. I mean, I just like everybody along and sing Kumbaya and, hugs and let's, go team rah rah. But you have to get used to conflict. And I have sat in many a meeting where somebody will say something and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. That's really, did you know that you're really hurting that person's feeling? I mean, it just really rocks me the wrong way. But over the years, I have gotten more used to it, and to the point where if there's not enough conflict, or I guess diverse opinions being shared, then I'm concerned that we're getting into this kind of groupthink where everybody's just thinking alike because we just either want to get the meeting over with, or there's very little engagement. So then I even get more concerned. So. Anyhow, so what I wanted to talk about was this whole idea of emotion in the workplace. So And a number of you commented on it in your post, and you said something like, it's just business, or, don't take this too personal, or something. But there's a general unwritten rule in most cultures, I would say, that emotion doesn't belong in the workplace. And though I understand what's being said there, I mean, you can't have every meeting turn into a cry fest and sit around and worry about, am I going to hurt Betty's feelings or Bob's feelings or what have you. I mean, I get that. On the other hand, from a psychological type perspective, which is how I view a lot of things in life, and so let's go back to week 1 with the MBTI, and you remember that third preference scale had to do with one end of the preference scale had to do with logic or thinking. Those with thinking preferences tend to look at the world more objectively. They use logic to make decisions. And then on the other end of the preference scale, we have those with feeling preferences. They tend to use the impact of a decision on the people, or more of a subjective approach. So we have this one preference scale with these two ends of it. So some of you identified with T, or logic or thinking preferences, and then there's another group of us that have feeling preferences, or F. So another way to look at this preference scale instead of just thinking and feeling is how do we develop trust? So instead of just understanding the basis of decision making, which is what this preference scale is about, you can kind of apply it to how do you develop trust with people. So to develop trust with somebody with thinking preferences, you would want to demonstrate, or you'd want to build on the thinking skills. So you would acknowledge their thinking, and then you would demonstrate your own thinking skills or competency. So when I'm interacting with somebody with thinking preferences, I try to cite literature. I will kind of lay out the logic of decisions that I've made so that they can see the process involved. I'll interject that I had other experts in the field review and comment, things like that. So once I can demonstrate that, then I believe they have more trust in my abilities as a leader. From a feeling perspective, and not to say that they don't value those things too, but they also, or at least initially, they more do this first, is that they establish trust based on my ability to connect with them. So when I am working with somebody with feeling preferences, I'll get to know them a little bit, usually through a little kind of chit chat in the beginning of the conversation. I'll find out, if they have kids, or what their hobbies are, if they travel, what have you. And I'll connect with them on that level and share something that I have in common with them. And then I kind of connect with them. I demonstrate that I'm concerned about them as an individual. So several of the faculty in this program actually, well, I guess one, lives in North Carolina. So I interacted with her this last week, and I remembered she just retired in North Carolina. I said, by the way, I hope you and your family are okay. So, and she wrote back immediately, and she's like, wow, because it meant so much to me that you remembered that and that you were concerned about me. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm concerned about you. I mean, I'm concerned with you because you're a human being, but I'm also concerned that, you have impact on the students in this program. And I want to make sure that you have what you need to be effective in it. Anyhow, so that's how you connect or just develop trust with people, using these two preference scales. The other aspect is how do you engage people? So you can look at these preference scales and learn how do you connect with people on multiple different levels. So when you're trying to engage somebody, in my work in academics, I work with a lot of T's, a lot of thinking people, a lot of people who use logic. The average university professor does have thinking skills. So how do I, especially because I'm not a T, I'm an F, so how do I engage thinking people in the work of running an academic program on this campus or any campus. So I do that by engaging them on the level of logic, and I'll give them some kind of hairy problem, and I'll say, so what would be your approach to this, or can you give this some thought? So there's one faculty in the program that I've been talking to him about his course, and he's expressed some frustration with it, that the course is too heavy. There's too much content in it. So I knew his thinking preferences, so I emailed him. I said, I'd really like to know your thoughts about this. You're the expert in this area. What do you think what should this course be? It can only be one course, one core course. We could offer another elective course, but as far as the core course, what do you think? And there's a heavy lift. He put a lot of time and energy into thinking this through. And I said, just send me your thoughts and we'll discuss it, and then we'll present it to the whole faculty and get their input. So anyhow, engaging others is using how they base decisions. So this particular faculty used their thinking preferences to base their decisions. So I engaged with them on the thinking level, so to solve a problem or to take advantage of an opportunity that we had to change course. So from a feeling perspective, I engage with faculty on their ability to connect with people or connect with others, and the impact that has on them. And it's very easy in a program like this because we have the opportunity to impact you in your career. So I'll engage with them at that level. So I have another faculty that has very clear feeling preferences. I had a student who was interested in doing a project that didn't really fit within any course. So I contacted them and said, hey, how would you be interested in working with this student? He has kind of a unique background. He was an international student, and he was really interested in, X. Would you be interested in really facilitating this student's learning so that he can take this back to his home country? And not that I was trying to manipulate the faculty at all, but I knew that she would engage in at least considering this. So now, actually, in the end, it didn't work out because she had too much on her plate at the time. But hopefully, we can connect them in another term to do this project. So anyhow, so you can use preferences on the MBTI to think about how do you build trust, how do you engage people. So why am I telling you this? So not to take up more of your time because I know you've already invested a ton in this, but this has been incredibly helpful to me as I've grown in my management and leadership roles. So type theory suggests that there's T and F preferences, and it also suggests that T is not better than F and F is not better than T, but that the best decisions are those that are combined. So within the workplace, it can't be just logic. It has to be logic and feeling. So the human psychology is way too complex to just approach business from a thinking perspective, and it's way too complex to be just about feelings. You don't want to be, you don't want somebody to say, well, you're a thinking person, you cannot feel. Or you don't want to be told as a feeling person, well, you're feeling, you cannot think. But the best is when you combine those two. So business has to involve thinking and feeling. It has to involve logic and emotion. So the truly good administrator, the truly good manager and leader is somebody who gets that, who understands that business is not just one-sided, but it's really this complex web of thinking and feeling. And they really work to understand and accommodate and even facilitate emotional expression. If you don't allow that to happen, you're not letting ideas and opportunities and creativity really come to the surface of an organization. So you have to give people the opportunity. And to do that in the best best way possible that I've ever learned is to set ground rules within meetings. So you allow people to express emotion, but then you set ground rules and say, you know, we're not going to call each other names. We're not going to grandstand. We're not going to swear. You know, some of these. And then if you see people expressing strong emotions, you offer to meet with them outside and just say, hey, you know, hey, Bob, I noticed that, you know, that the conversation about, you know, such and so really seemed to upset you. You know, what's going on? Are you okay? And you just allow them to express, you know, their anger or their sadness or their fear related to a topic. And you help them process that. That's what really good managers do. So it's not eliminating emotion from the workplace. It's not even eliminating emotion from conflict. You have to allow it because it's natural. You can put some parameters on it so that it's civil, and that, you know, you don't cause more destruction than good. But then you as a manager meet with people on the sides, and if somebody gets out of control in a meeting, you just say, hey, Susie, I see that, you know, this is an upsetting topic. Why, you know, why don't we table that for now? And then you try to have kind of a side conversation with Susie to see, you know, obviously there's something going on here. And if you don't help Susie process this and work through this, you don't get the best of what Susie has to offer to solve the problem or take advantage of the opportunity. So anyhow, I don't know if this makes sense, but I hope it does. So the two big learning points that I want you to take away from that conflict exercise is, first and foremost, do not avoid conflict. Conflict is good and it's necessary. But to really take advantage of it in the workplace, you have to be, a top-notch manager and leader and be able to facilitate those conversations. And it does not happen by telling people don't have emotion in the workplace. Emotion belongs in the workplace. It's not just desirable, it's necessary. But you yourself have to learn how to deal with it. So finally, just the weekly reflections, incredible. Just incredible work. So again, if you're struggling and really want to get the full points in this, I just really encourage you to look at the rubric. This is a researched rubric. I took it from an article that was shared with me probably, 8 years ago. And it helped me understand what am I looking for reflective writing. So, and it's deep stuff, but I'm sure if you talk to anybody that you admire for their leadership skills and talk to them about what is the key to your success, a lot of them will come back and say to you, the ability to reflect and to use that reflection to understand my own reactions and responses to things, understand who I am, and then furthermore, be able to change my own behaviors, my own perspectives. So if you don't have the desire and the willingness to do that, just go do something else for a living. Do not manage and lead people, especially not me, because it's awful. So anyhow, I hope this was helpful. Sorry it ran so long. I'm deep into week 4, working hard. Things are going to start getting intense with me. I got some big meetings coming up that I got to do some prep work. So I'm rocking through this stuff as fast as I can. If you have any questions or anything, please just email me. I'm trying to respond as fast as I can. And again, it's been just awesome so far. I really, really appreciate all that you're doing. See you later. Bye.